Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody.
Oh, right, right, right.
It's Journey On, and it is the Pastor Karl and Jim show. I almost said the Pastor Jim and Karl show. No, no, that's not happening. Just for future reference, there's
Are
been
you doing a
no,
little foreshadowing? Is
there's
that what they
no,
call that?
not that I'm aware of, but sometimes the Spirit speaks when we're not paying attention. I think that's an
That's
important
true.
part
Very
of being
true.
a Christian as well. So really happy to be here today. I was telling Karl before we started recording, I had the most miserable illness yesterday, and I watched the service from home later in the day. God bless the technology people that give us the ability to watch the show later on. The show, the service. It's a show.
Amen. The
Yeah.
show. Yeah.
So I appreciate that. So I watched the service in a bit of a fever dream yesterday, but I believe I picked up on a few things that I'd like to
I'm
review.
curious to hear what you got.
Yeah, there was something with and this was it was great because you had this section where you were talking about the flowing robes, the train,
Yeah.
and that fit right in. I'm sure I dreamed about that last night at some point. All there was a lot of smoke and it was a bit of a magic show, but that's that was part of it. But uh,
Sure.
so the title is Losing Your O, and this was from Isaiah 6. And what I found interesting after going through a bit of that, it was the message that I took from it was about not losing our O, right? Like making sure that we are
Yeah.
holding on to it, and
Yeah.
obviously we're not intentionally losing our O. And I appreciate being given tools to help with that.
Oh, good.
And the idea of things being holy, and I don't know if I ever heard the word, but for me, awestruck really kept coming to mind. Just I
Oh,
have
sure.
I have nothing to say because I'm overwhelmed, and it's taken a lot of years for me to really be in touch with emotions and being okay with feeling some emotions, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of
Mhm.
those. And it's important, I think, for all of us to feel those and deal with those and help make those part of our life. I think many of us, speaking for
Right.
myself for sure, it's easy to just stuff a lot of emotions down, especially in a moment. I don't have time to deal with this right now. Let's put that off till later. But feeling those out is really important. And I think that kind of wove through the message that I heard. And what really stood out to me, I guess before I get into the side note, there was a side note about these four things.
Okay.
Before I do that, though, was that did I miss anything from that larger perspective? Was that kind of the idea that you'd intended to come across?
Absolutely. You nailed it. So the A.W. Tozer, in his writings, asks his readers, and I'm paraphrasing or just putting into a sentence, have you lost your O?
Mm-hmm.
And that O is what you're talking about, reverence or being awestruck, looking at the might or the glory
Right.
or the amazement or of God and not forgetting. I mean, he is our friend, and I say that
Mhm.
many, many times at last
Right.
weekend because he is our friend and he does love us and he is merciful and he's the most fatherly of fatherly figures. He's
Mhm.
like the father everybody wants.
Excuse me.
Um,
Hmm.
and so it's easy to start gravitating towards that. Well, yeah, I mean, he's not going to kick me out of the house, he's got
Right.
to take me back, and all of a sudden he becomes the friend scale to might and amazement scale start getting tipped a little bit,
Right.
and we can get kind of a casual approach, and I believe when we do that, we start losing, like I said, we start losing our faith
Hmm.
because we're putting our faith in something besides the creator of the cosmos. And
Yeah.
we have to remember that that's who we're coming to. And for him to want to be our friend, I mean, that should should amp up that, oh, like, oh my gosh.
Hmm.
Think about who's really popular right now. I don't even know. Uh Josh Duhamel, he's a North Dakota kid, right? If
Oh, okay.
Josh
Yeah.
Duhamel called you and I, and he said, "Hey guys, I want to be on the podcast. I want to be a regular," we'd be like,
Oh,
"Ooh, wait, are you a
that's
Christian?" Well, it doesn't matter,
you know what? That's
Uh,
really funny because you'd use that example of thinking of someone that you revere, and
yeah,
every time I thought of someone famous or a political figure or movie music,
yeah,
in my mind, I kept thinking, if I meet somebody like that, I don't feel starstruck. Like for me, I
Right, right.
like, okay, let's have a conversation. Or you're super busy. It was nice to have seen you in person, but it's not really going to change my life. But when you said they want to come on the podcast, oh, now it's different. Now I'm going to put on a
Now that's see,
collared
that's a
shirt.
deal.
Yeah, now it's an important thing. That's interesting that you said that. And I think the word awesome is overused, or we've desensitized it because
Right. Yep.
this sandwich isn't awesome. God is awesome. And
Yeah,
I think that's an important part of
it
uh,
is. That's a really good point.
our
We've
mindset
kind
too.
of,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So
that's the
this, well,
idea.
and the side note, I took a lot out of the side note. Uh, the idea of not accepting forgiveness. Why don't we accept it? And I know it's something we touched on last
Yeah,
week at this time, and I really appreciate having heard more about that. The you gave four items, and I wanted to touch on them here.
sure.
Missing the greatness of God.
Yep.
The idea that He can do anything except forgive me, that strikes home, and that's a good reminder. So we're going to put that on one finger, right? That's okay. That's a good one to remember. Not
Yep.
accepting forgiveness. So then I don't trust him, right? I don't trust that he's actually going to do the thing that he said, and he does the things that he says, right?
He does.
Yeah,
Yep.
there's no question about that. And then holding on to myself, and I don't, again, I don't know if I saw or heard the word in there, but pride. For me, that's prideful.
Mm.
When I'm not accepting forgiveness, I'm essentially putting myself above God and what he told me he's doing. And that hurts. That's the
Yeah.
opposite of the oh, right? Like, oh,
Right. Yep.
now I'm ashamed. And then not wanting to revisit the same. And I appreciate you putting the human spin on that pain of going back to, okay, in order for me to be forgiven, I need to deal with it.
Yeah.
I'm meditating, praying on it. I'm dealing with it. I'm making amends. I'm suffering through it again, essentially, or maybe for the first time, depending on how I dealt with it previously. And then the sub note to that one is dealing with different sins in different ways. We need rehabilitation for different things. The idea that
Yeah.
my nose needs different rehabilitation than my shin hadn't occurred to me in that term before. And so even though I may not have been in my right mind when I watched the the service, I really took a lot from it. I appreciate this time to recap those things and to have that reminder again that forgiveness is already done.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. And to kind of add on specifically to that fourth point that we haven't really dealt with the sin. We kind of pack it
Mhm.
away. And well, wouldn't it be cool if it just went away? It just goes away. You're forgiven. It goes away. But
Yeah.
that's really not how it works. We keep revisiting the treasure chest, not treasure chest. What would it be? The
Right.
sin chest, I guess.
Yeah.
And so when you said make amends, and I lightly touched on this because I didn't want to make the whole I didn't want to make the whole message about us. You very easily could in that context, but I wanted to keep it about the creator of the cosmos, right? Because
Good.
that's the
Mhm.
key. But one thing that I touched on, and we'll probably talk about it at Group Wednesday, but I'd like to talk to you about it now, is when we make amends, um, there rehabilitating a sin is different for everybody,
Mhm.
and different sins have different rehabilitation. So I'm going to use an example. Let's say, for instance, you had a previous relationship, or I'll give myself. I had a previous relationship, and I did something. Cheated on her, or did something horrible, but we've moved on. Like
Mhm.
we're no longer together, and she's good with it, and I'm still struggling with it. For me to selfishly go back and open up that can for
Yeah.
her, that's not fair to her.
Right.
So, so
100%.
yeah, so through prayer, and I honestly, the Holy Spirit's not gonna he's not going to have us doing something that's going to cause more harm to
Mm.
somebody that we've already harmed. So we want to be sensible about that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is, like in that case, it would be sharing with somebody else something uh, that you're not going to like.
Mhm.
You and I, we're accountability partners. So I
Right.
share
Right.
with you, Jim, here's what I did 30 years ago, and whatever. I would like to put up disclaimers, quotes on both sides. I did not cheat on my wife 30 years ago and
Okay,
haven't.
good.
So,
Good.
so this is merely an example.
Yes. All
But
right.
yeah, you don't want to open up those wounds.
Right.
Um, because
And I think
that's not right either.
it really ties in. Are you familiar with the 12 steps for the various addictions,
Oh,
different
yeah,
addiction
I am
programs?
actually. Yes.
And that ties into that because there are steps that fall in a certain sequence. A fourth step in that program is to sit down and list all of the things that you think you might need to make amends for, the things that you're
Right.
giving
Right.
up. The
Yep.
fifth step is to go through that with somebody, like you said, a
Yeah.
trusted advisor, a trusted person that's within the same program or has followed those same steps. It's much later that you get to amends, and it specifies there too. You don't do it if it's going to hurt somebody else. And
Right.
I'm only bringing that up because I mean, it makes sense in a lot of situations. It makes perfect sense here, and I appreciate, actually, I really appreciate you swinging back around to that one, not wanting to revisit sin. I put that into human terms. The focus of the message was on God, and I think that's important to remember too. So all of these things, all of this, let's we roll faith all into this big matzo ball and pick pieces out at various times as we need them and try to do as much as we can all the time. But a fantastic conversation, and I also like you mentioned Wednesday night. You have a small group, grow group. What is your what do you call it? You got a group.
Boy, if you were to be actually accurate with what we are, we're a food group that we meet. Surprising, right? We meet, we have a meal together, and then we discuss. But I guess we'd be called a small group.
Small group buff.
We've never really talked about what Journey
Yeah,
Fellowship wants to call our groups that meet. Do you have
it's
any
a.
suggestions?
I like the buffet Bible time. I think we should just let's buffet
I
Bible
like that
time.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
fellowship groups, whatever.
yeah.
Yeah,
Journey group. Let's just stick with it.
Journey group.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, uh, so at any rate, I appreciate, you plan to talk about that with this group. I'm blessed to be part of a men's group here in Bismarck, and one of the things that came to my mind recently is we have a fantastic opportunity because sometimes we get together and the discussion is about something that someone or maybe a few of us are really struggling with, and we talk about that, we
sure.
pray about that, and other times we share recipes and not as in depth, right? So reviewing the previous message and previewing the next message, I think that's a fantastic opportunity, and I think we're unique. Our church is unique in that we do give so much time to preparing what's to come. So this next message that we're going to talk about it in just a little bit. As a matter of fact, we're starting a new series, and
Yeah,
folks that kind of pay attention here, talk with others that follow, have an idea of what's coming. And what a blessing because I don't need to be surprised. I can get my heart and my mind in the right place when I come to church on Sunday, and it's one of the things I've loved about doing this for the time that I've been able to do it. So let's talk about that. Coming up, we're going
sure.
to start a new series and lay it on us. What's the plan?
The new series. I'm glad you asked. Thank you for asking. The new
Yeah.
series is going to be titled Our Songbook. And the reason I'm calling it Our Songbook is we're going to base it on the Psalms. 150 Psalms.
Hmm.
Nobody should panic. We're probably not going to get to all 150 in this series.
Okay.
Um, the Psalms themselves are songs, and one of the things I shared with you earlier, but I think it plays well here too, is when Jesus would go to temple, right? Because Jesus did go to
Hmm.
temple and synagogue, and the songs they sang were psalms, were
Hmm.
the psalms. And so I don't know, that does something to me when I'm reading through a psalm. At some point, I've read many psalms that Jesus was singing
Hmm.
during service, and
Yeah.
I don't know, that does something for me, and it means something to me. So I don't take it lightly, but I think the our songbook, how we divide that up, it could
Hmm.
be five divisions, six divisions. Some scholars have it divided eight different ways, and I'll kind of play with that this week. Um, but I think we'll probably pick a couple, if not maybe some might do
Hmm.
two or three from each one to get a flavor. And I think we'll do the biggies, Psalm 23, Psalm 1, Psalm 100. Those are all great. We're going to start this week on one of the biggies as well, Psalm 46. And people may not just go, oh, Psalm 46. But when I say, be still and
Hmm.
know that I am God, Oh, that's Psalm 46.
All right.
That's Psalm 46.
There's
So
probably
we're
more to it than that one line, though.
yep, it's just those words. It's a short
It's
one.
going to be a quick message.
It is. Yep, we'll be eating in no time. No, Psalm 46, and the big phrase in there is "Be still and know that
Mm,
I am God." And we're going to unpack that because I think that in itself is a fantastic message. But there's some other things I would really encourage people this week, especially. And I guess I don't often do this, but whatever version
mm,
they like, NLT, NIV, Message, whatever. There's a lot of different translations out there, and for the most part, they're all really good. But I would encourage people to read New King James. They can read King James, but
mm,
sometimes that gets a little convoluted.
yeah.
And there's a really good reason for that. But New King James, and then your version that you like, and kind of see what's different. Like we did a couple weeks ago. I don't remember
Mm,
what we did but just kind of make note of some things that are in one and maybe not the other, and so on and so forth, and get a fuller picture of what the psalmist is
mm.
sharing with us. So New King James. Psalm 46 sometime this week.
Yeah, and I don't want to. I hope I'm not spoiling anything, but do I remember right that David wrote all of the Psalms, or some of them, or we're not real
Some of
sure?
them. Yep,
Okay,
some of it. He wrote, let's say he wrote the lion's share. There's some that we don't know who.
right.
Actually, Psalm 46 is one that we aren't exactly sure who
Oh,
wrote.
all right.
But David did write a lot of Psalms. Solomon wrote some Psalms.
Oh,
We'll probably
yes,
talk
I've
about
heard
that.
that too. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm sure it'll come up. That's why I was saying I hope I don't spoil. That was a third message. Way to go.
Yeah. Now I got nothing to talk about in 2 weeks.
Um, Before we do final thoughts, I
Yeah.
have a bit of a, I don't want to really call it a challenge, but I'm going to call this
Oh,
out to our viewers. Uh, as we get into this new series, let's spend some time praying for what these messages are going to be about.
yeah.
And I think it's important to recognize that it's not like, and I would expect this to be true of most pastors and most churches. It's not like you start out the year and you have all these things written out, and this is what you're going to talk about, and you get these notes, and everything is not even necessarily easy versus hard, but just as planned out. I appreciate the fact that from week to week things change, day to day. You've
Sure.
had
Yeah.
messages that change Saturday morning before the
Yep.
the service there.
Yep.
And again, call out or shout out to our Fargo people for doing the dress rehearsal before we actually get the real show. Thank you.
I think sometimes they feel that way too. Did you practice this at all?
Yeah. But so for everybody, just something to add to the prayer list. What's this
Yeah.
series? What do we
Oh
need?
man.
What's
I
what's
think
coming to
that
us?
I think that's a fantastic idea, and I think people praying for our church,
Mm.
and for the growth of our community. So individual growth, collective growth, and then growth in numbers. Continue praying for that because God does have a plan, right?
Mm.
And He shares His plan for those that want to know it, and we want to know it.
Amen.
We want to be
Amen.
good stewards. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that.
For sure. And what are your final thoughts? What do you have for us this
Oh,
week?
final thought. This kind of falls into a challenge too, depending on how I phrase it. But I like that you're challenging. I
Mm.
want to add on to that. If people are like, "Gosh, I got so much time." We're moving into, and yesterday and today was a great reminder that we live in a beautiful, uh, beautiful
Hmm.
area. Summers here can be, yesterday was a gorgeous day. Today was absolutely gorgeous. I kept making excuses to go outside. I'm remodeling a bathroom, so I'm like, I should go to my trailer and find red chalk.
You were
So it was,
putzing.
huh?
Putzing. You were putzing.
I was putzing,
And that's
and
fine.
yep, putzing. The walk outside was very slow, and then inside it
Mm.
was fast. So yeah, beautiful time. And with that comes a lot of different things. There are people that love to go to the lakes and love to go to the rivers and love to go. So I just want to encourage people as we're moving into this series and as we are a church family. I am never going to tell anyone, don't take time for yourself. Don't go visit friends and revitalize, through vacation and all that stuff. But I just want to encourage people to stay connected with our church because it's really easy to, like you just were talking about earlier. It's easy to watch the service.
Right.
We have a team of people that thank God for them that know what they're doing. And I think it looks and sounds better every week.
Mm,
They're growing in that way. And so it's easy to stay connected. So if you can't, and I just want to encourage people to be there in person as much as possible because we are the body,
mm,
right? And if
right.
Myron decides to take a weekend off, it's weird for me. So just encourage people to stay connected, be present as much as possible, maybe make a commitment
Mm,
to
yeah,
yourself, and yeah, we're gonna grow.
we are growing. It's already happened.
Yeah, this is true. This
All
is
right.
true.
Well, thank you so much for everybody that sticks with us here. This one is a little bit shorter than last week. That review was great. I appreciate everybody's participation and conversations on our last series, and we're ready to rock with this new one. Thanks everybody for
Awesome.
your time. We'll see you Sunday or Saturday or sometime soon. God bless.